In this session, I want to share with you a really simple technique that I sometimes use in my sketchbook practice to kind of get me going. So the thing about being an artist is that there's a kind of infinite possibility. We can do absolutely anything we like. And sometimes that sheer number of kind of decisions at the very beginning can feel a bit overwhelming, and I like to narrow my options, give myself a kind of smaller starting point, a smaller sort of challenge to get me going, and also to kind of throw some more unusual or different kind of visual stimulus into my art making. So what I do is I pick one book, a book that I find beautiful, stimulating, really interesting, and I will open it at any random page, and then I will kind of force myself, encourage myself to create art in response to whatever is on that page. And so the in response bit is the interesting bit, because it makes me think about what is it on this particular page that I find visually interesting, what appeals to me. So it can kind of start you off in a really different direction that you may not have chosen if you were entirely in charge of your starting point. So adding in a little bit of chance and a little kind of bounding box can be really helpful for me anyway. And I'll show you the book that I've chosen. It's a beautiful book, and I will also show you the pages in my sketchbook that I made in response to my kind of random page selection. So this is the book I've selected, and it's called the Cabana Anthology, and it's an absolutely beautiful homewares book. It's it's a book that just has page after page of beautiful homes and pictures of fabric and flowers. It's just one of those books that you would never be bored of looking at. And it was a gift from my lovely brother as a Christmas present. So it's a special book, and it has lots of interesting things inside it. So it's a perfect sort of book for doing this kind of exercise, because it's got so many different varied pages. But I mean, obviously, I think this is quite a niche book, but you could select any art book. It could be an art book of an artist that you're particularly interested in, or a genre, or you could go to the library, or you could borrow a book. It's not necessarily about what you have, but it's just a starting point. So this was the page that I opened it at random. And on that page is a beautiful plant, and I don't even know the name of the plant, but a really beautiful plant, and a picture of a bathroom. So what I did when I opened the page at random is I just spent a few minutes looking at it and really taking it all in and thinking, what is it on this page? What is it here that I find interesting? And it could have been shapes, lines, colours, patterns, juxtapositions. So I'm really trying to think about what, for me, do I find interesting. And, you know, if you do this, you might find a completely different set of things interesting. And that's the kind of beautiful thing. We're kind of learning about our visual discernment and the things that light us up as artists. So the things that I was particularly interested in were, I really loved these lines here, these lines of the stem. Really liked those, and the shape of these leaves, these sorts of big fan shapes, were beautiful. And then I really got quite interested in looking at the patterns on the tiles. So that was my starting point. I selected a book, I opened it at a random page, and then I really thought about what was on that page and what on that page did I find visually interesting. So here we are inside the pages of my sketchbook. And you'll see I just did a drawing. This is just Sharpie pen and a fine liner, and I was really kind of looking at those leaves and those lines and stems, the things I said I found interesting. And then I added in some sort of slightly made up tile pattern. So this was just a drawing in response to that page. And then this was the second one I did, which I added some watercolour and some felt tip pen. And then I just sort of kept going with it, really. I photocopied a piece of the original drawing and then used that as my starting point, and then started making up all kinds of of my own tile patterns. You'll see here there's another page of really random made up tile patterns. So I just wanted to show that idea as a really, interesting starting point, as something to throw into the mix when you're perhaps feeling like, you just want to give yourself some more visual stimulus. So I hope you enjoy that.